I didn't know where else to go to explain this, so I figured I could come to you. You're probably aware of the 14-year-old game Team Fortress 2 and how it's been one of the most popular first-person shooters ever since its release back in 2007. Well, I first started playing it back in 2010 at the time I had one of those old gaming PCs, and I've had a terrible, horrifying experience that still sticks with me to this day. So, it was just another Friday afternoon. Got home from school, ate a snack, and sat down to play the game on my PC. I've had the game for a couple months now, and out of all the 9 playable classes, I mainly played and adored the medic. His neat German accent and funny humor is what got me to be into him. The difference between him and a real medic was his invention, the Medigun, which allows him to shoot a colored spray of medicine at his teammates to increase their health bar when it's low on the battlefield. My mom worked at the local hospital at the time, and she usually doesn't get home until midnight, so I pretty much had the evening to myself. I played for a few hours, then ordered some pizza while taking a break, and then showered. I went back to play a bit more for the night, and when I was in the middle of a payload match, my screen froze all of a sudden, and then it just started glitching. I was really confused because I just got the PC for Christmas last year, and it shouldn't really be having that much problems already. After about a minute of constant glitching, I then saw what looked to be the medic on the screen, looking directly at me and smiling with an evil, psychotic expression while holding up his left hand. I even noticed in the background there were dead bodies of the rest of the team that had the same colored uniforms as the medic. The scout's eyes were gouged out, the heavy's head was chopped off, all of them were brutally killed. Chills started going through my body as I was wondering what sick virus joke this was. That was when the screen went back to showing the game, as if nothing had happened. After that experience, I knew that it was not worth playing the game, so I just shut off the PC for the night and went straight to bed, still thinking about what I had just seen. My mom then arrived a few minutes later and came to check up on me, but I decided not to tell her what happened so I don't sound stupid. The next day, my mom said that it was time to go to the hospital she worked at for my doctor's appointment. I practically forgot about my terrifying experience last night and just thought it was all the end of it. Or so I thought. Once we arrived and checked in, one of the nurses took me to the patient's room where the doctor checks up on you later, while my mom waited at the lobby. The nurse said she would get my doctor and left me to wait in the room. I would say that it's been about 30 minutes before my doctor even showed up, and being impatient, I was about to go tell the front desk, but then I heard footsteps appearing outside and getting close to the door, so I figured my doctor finally arrived. But who I saw enter the room wasn't the doctor. It was a man, and he looked very familiar. He looked a lot like a real doctor, but not one I've seen before. He wore a white lab coat with a red medic cross on both sides of his shoulders, a pair of neat tan slacks and some black boots, along with some red gloves, as well as a pair of round reading glasses that looked like they were from the 1900s. Filled with terror and shock, I realized that it was the medic from TF2. My mind was racing with confusion as to how this was happening and thinking that this couldn't be real. As I was still processing this, the medic looked at me and smiled with the same evil expression that I saw last night on the PC. He noticed that I was staring at him, and he put down this medical briefcase he was carrying when he walked in onto the table behind him. He then walked up to me and said,
"Let's go practice medicine."
That was when blood started pouring out of his mouth and dripped onto his shirt. Bits of his clothing ripped to expose his bones, and his face turned darkly pale, with his eyes glowing with yellowish light. My heart was beating faster than ever before at this moment. that I gave the medic a good punch to the face, causing him to hit the table and fall to the floor. I hauled ass out of the room and down the hallway, trying to get back to the lobby and to my mom. However, the building looked completely dark, and the hallways, they were filled with blood on the walls and the floor. I looked out one of the windows and saw that it was already dark outside. I was so confused because me and my mom arrived at the hospital when it was still the morning. I heard the medic calling out for me, and then I saw him at the far end of the hallway I came from, holding what looked to be the bone saw he uses in the game, covered with blood.
Come over here. I promise I will heal you.
He yelled with his German accent, except with a demonic voice. I tried to get away from him as far as I could, still trying to find my way back. And then I saw 2 double doors with a sign above that read, "Lobby." And so I bolted through the doors and found it completely empty. No signs of anyone, not even my mom. I didn't have time to think about that. I instead just focused on seeing the exit, and I was about to put my hand on the handle to escape, but then I felt something sharp pierce through my stomach. I looked down and saw blood pouring out to the floor, while noticing the blade. The sharp object left my stomach, and then I turned around, too weak to keep my balance. I saw the medic standing in front of me, holding up his bone saw. That was when I fell to the floor and looked up to see the medic laughing and getting ready to finish me off. Just then, I was awakened by someone. I was back in the patient's room and saw my doctor standing next to me. But I screamed and pushed him out of the way, running back to my mom in the lobby, demanding her that we leave right now. Not wanting to attract an audience with others in the room, my mom took me to the car and we just left back home. Once she arrived, she wanted to know what was up with me. And so I decided to tell her the whole story of what happened last night was that terrifying virus that occurred on my PC with one of my favorite TF2 characters. And I guess that so-called dream encounterance I had was the medic. She was just as shocked and scared as I was that she deleted the game and arranged for my PC to get fixed so I wouldn't have to experience another sort of virus like the previous one. I've developed PTSD ever since and had to take therapy sessions. I re-downloaded the game and still played it to this day since nothing of this nature ever happened again, but I will never, ever play as the medic ever again. So remember, if you were to ever download TF2 and we're gonna play for the first time, that where you would have to pick your characters, please don't trust the doctor.